So step one, we apply some of this cheap nasty paint and varnish stripper. We'll give this a shake first. And here come my children.
Just me. Haven't taken years.
Just him. And then dib dib dob away. So let's give it a scrape. See if it comes off. This is a nylon scraper, by the way, not a metal one. Right, I'm going to give it a wash off now. So we'll have to tidy all of this up, get it nice and clean over there. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to use Brillo pad, which is basically wire wool impregnated with soap. We'll give it a good rub over with soapy water. See if we can get it back to wood. Anyway, that's what neighbours are supposed to be like, you see. I gave that man a hand with his car earlier. He was struggling to get his windscreen wipers changed. Oh, I've got the knack for changing windscreen wipers. I can do it pretty quick, a few seconds. Most people normally take about an hour to get them changed because they're very confusing. So instead of being like the rest of the people that seem to live around here and just saying thank you and walking off, he's actually brought me a gift, saving him some time. Which is how things are supposed to work in a small community, isn't it? Right, I think I'm going to switch over to sandpaper now. Give this a rinse off under the shower so it's completely rinsed off. We're back in a minute. So we've got some 400 wet and dry, some 800 wet and dry. We'll give it going over with that. I want to let it dry out first. See what it actually looks like. See whether we've taken the varnish off everywhere. I don't think we have, but we'll let it dry out and see what it looks like. There's a few scabs. This is basically varnish that didn't come off. We'll have to get that off with, we'll get that off with some 400 grit wet and dry. You have to be very careful there. And when it's stained, sorry, when it's varnished, not varnished, oiled, it should come out pretty much that colour. Which I think isn't too bad. I might not stain it. I might just oil it. Anyway. This is the boring and painstaking part of refinishing any piece of wood. Yeah, there's still bits of varnish on there. I might let it dry out and go over the bits that are still varnished. Some there. I don't know whether you can see it on the camera, but you can see the light reflecting off of these bits. I'll let it dry out and see what it looks like in 10 minutes. Right, you are then. That is sanded down. It's got to go in the cupboard and stay in a warm room with a boiler. I'll put it in the boiler cupboard for probably 24 hours till this time tomorrow. But it's lovely and smooth. Lovely and smooth. There's probably a few tiny bits on there, but They won't really cause too much of a trouble. So we'll be on to the next step in the next video, which will be staining. For what I think is a walnut stock. This needs to be diluted, so we'll have to take a guess at that. Like everything else in life, it's got a bloody childproof lid on it. So we'll just pop a little hole in there. And be extra careful not to spill this anywhere. And put a tiny bit, we'll just fill the bottom of this. And stop. Childproof lids. And we'll need to find something to put some water in there. So we have this, which is my cat scarer, and a jug of water. And we'll fill this up. And then we'll just have it in there until it's about twice as deep. And probably should have done this first, but I need to mask around here off. So we'll move this stain well and truly out of the way in case it gets knocked. We're ready to apply the stain. The stain takes a couple of hours to dry. Well, I shall sacrifice my finger briefly to look at that end. That end's done okay. It looks pretty even. It's got a lovely dark colour. I'm going to give that one more coat. After I've washed my hands and let it dry. The stain is doing an excellent job of highlighting where I've left a little tiny bit of varnish behind. To get the light right. There's another one there. There's another one there. But the oil will cover all that up. There's another one there. Actually looks like someone's been wiping bogies on my stock. So, coat number one. It's come out pretty good. Could still do with some more sanding, but we'll see how it comes out once it's got the oil put on it. It's got a nice grain. So the next step is just to colour these up. I found some oil paint, so I shall probably paint them black. I'll paint them black with oil paint. I need to redo my work surface, make it tidy, get rid of this stain. So I'll be back shortly. Strange. It says acrylic, but it seems to be oil-based acrylic. Now, my brush skills are not particularly good. black checkering. Should make the rifle stand out for the crowd. I'm still a bit gutted that there wasn't any checkering at the front. I might see if there's a woodworker out there somewhere that can get checkering on there for me. Right, so oops. Oil paints take about 8 hours to dry thoroughly, so we'll just have to leave that sitting safely in the corner over there. And that's pretty much it for step 2. I don't know what this oil is. Tree oil. Definitely tree oil. Let's start at this end. I'm going to have to guess and say, because it's called Birchwood Casey, it's probably actually birch oil. There. 10 minutes. One coat of oil applied. It's looking like I'm going to have to do that at least 3 times. But it's soaking up quite nicely. So we'll stand that over there. that's where it can live for the next 24 hours. Right, this is coat 1 of the oil. It's feeling a bit rough after it's been put on there, so we'll give it a going over with some wire wool, and then I've got some cloth here that's cotton cloth, and we're not going to go too mad with the wire wool. Now this time around, I'm going to apply the oil with a piece of kitchen towel. I'm quite specific about kitchen towel. There are dozens of different kitchen towels out there, but this is the one you want to use because that is strong. It's almost as good, not quite as good, but almost as good as a piece of cotton rag. Doesn't break up, even if you attack it with like a wire brush or something like that. It doesn't fluff. So we'll dump some more of this in there. And we'll get to it. That stuff smells really nice. The trouble is I'm going to try and do it this way because the light's shining in through the window. It'll give me better light. And we should be able to apply it more evenly with this. And that's pretty much it for that coat. I think I've got everything. I'm going to stand this over there in the sunlight. We'll get the camera over there. So we haven't got sunlight all over it, but you can get a good idea of what it's going to look like when it's finished. I don't really like a gloss finish on woodwork. I prefer a satin or matte finish. So once we're done with our oiling, we'll give this a dust over to take the shine off of it. But that's coat number 2. Right, so then, this is over 24 hours after coat number 2, and the whole thing's feeling pretty rough. So I'm going to give it, before I give it the next coat of oil, I'm going to give it a thorough going over with some 1500 wet and dry sandpaper, but I'm going to keep it dry. I'm not going to wet it. We're ready for oil application number 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is now probably 3 or 4 weeks after I applied the oil to this stock. And what we've got to do now is apply this which I'm working under the assumption is probably just a mild abrasive. Doesn't actually say what it's got in it. Some lint free cloth. Ooh, looks like milk. And I shall just, yeah, it's an abrasive. Off, for which I'll need some kitchen towel. So I've got a couple of sheets of Bounty here, which is now called Plenty but used to be called Bounty, which is like a primo kitchen towel. I'm going to give the whole thing a wipe off. Yeah, that's it, a non-gloss finish, just the way I like it. Right, now I'm going to try and get a reflection of this. This is going to be slightly difficult because the light's actually up and behind. But you can see it's a non-gloss finish. It is shiny a bit, but only a little bit. That's perfect finish as far as I'm concerned. There is one more job I've got to do, which is apply my own wax to it. And I'll show you that in a second, but this is really no biggie. Right, so this is my wax, and what that is pretty much 1-for-1 beeswax and olive oil mixed together. It's not tough or hard, it doesn't set hard, but it does soak in, and it really doesn't take a lot to give the rifle a protected finish. And it'll also dull down the finish a bit more as well. Right, you can see what's happening there. That's the beeswax coming away from the olive oil. And you want to achieve that all over. With, makes it look a bit rough for the time being, but you get that all over like that. See up here, can you? Right, so you can see the wax is, the beeswax is kind of separating. Which might look a bit weird to start with, but once you get over it with a cotton rag afterwards, the beeswax comes off and leaves a decent layer of basically insulation behind. Insulation? This is protection. Right, you can see that's actually dulled the finish down a bit more. Right, you can't do this next step with kitchen towel. You have to must use a proper cotton rag. And given that we're in the kitchen and it's only beeswax, good old fashioned tea towel will do. Pitch it in the washing machine when you're done. Bob's your uncle. You really have to apply pressure when you're doing this. can see all these bits rolling off. This is the excess beeswax coming off. What it also does is gives the stock a bit of a sticky finish. It's only a tiny bit sticky, it just gives you a little bit of grip. Right, and there we go. That's the job done. So I'll put some text up, show you a quick rundown of everything that you need to do. There's 3 main steps, maybe 4 if you really want to push it. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you on the next video.